Okay, now we're going to move into division. This year in 5th grade, you need to be able to divide at least a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. So we're doing 2-digit divisors. So we're going to start with working the problem 94 divided by 3. So I'd like for you here in a second to pause the video and work through the problem and answer the questions on the screen here. Then when you've gone through, worked your problem, answered the questions, press play and we'll start going over answers. So go ahead and pause your video now and work through the problem. Okay, so you should have worked through 94 divided by 3. So first off, we're going to ask, what does the problem 94 divided by 3 really mean? So we could have come up with some answers, maybe like this, that we're splitting 94 into 3 groups, or that we're sharing 94 evenly among 3 groups, or we could be asking ourselves how many 3's are in 94. So there's 3 different ways of saying what this problem means. Then I want to ask you, how did you model the problem? You could have used base 10 blocks. You could have used a picture. You could say that you counted out 94 units, then split them into 3 equal-sized groups. So you could have had 94 of the unit blocks, and then started, taking one at a time and making 3 groups until you got done. So then how did you separate your 94 into your 3 equal groups? Maybe this is what I could have done, is dealt out 1 unit at a time until I had none left, which was what I was saying. Or you could have dealt out 10 longs 1 at a time and then dealt out the units. That would have been quicker instead of doing 1 unit at a time. So there's several different ways that you could have performed this division problem. My next question is, when you were separating 94 into 3 equal groups, were you taking away from the original number of base 10 blocks? Well, yes, you are, because division is repeated subtraction, right? It's just taking away your groups each time. What, until you get down to where you can't divide anymore evenly. What is the relationship between subtraction and division? Well, just like repeated addition is related to multiplication, repeated subtraction is related to division. They're just opposite operations, right? If you were to think about 94 divided by 3 as dealing out 94 into 3 equal-sized groups, how many 10s would be in each group? Well, if I have 9 10s in 94, and I divide those equally 3 ways, it seems like I would have 3. So I would have 3 10s. Aha, there we go. Okay. How many 1s would be in each group? At least 1. That's what I'm thinking, because we're making 3 equal-sized groups. Okay. Were all of the base 10 blocks to be dealt out evenly to the 3 groups you made? Why or why not? Did we evenly, could we get rid of all the 10s? No, we should have had 1 block was left over because I didn't add it to any of the groups. We had 1 as the remainder. I'm sorry, 1 block was left over because I couldn't add it to any of the groups. So one of my 10 blocks, or one of my base 10 blocks, I couldn't put into a group to share it equally, so that ends up being my remainder at that point. What would this problem look like if you wrote it in mathematical terms? That's like in numbers, like we're writing a math problem. Well, it would look like 94 divided by 3 is equal to 31 groups with a remainder of 1 unit. Okay? Was your estimate accurate? What strategy did you use to estimate? Well, if we estimate the problem, then I probably would have used 9 93 instead of 94 because I can put 3 into 90. I can divide 93 into 3 equal-sized groups in my head easier than I can 94 divided by 3. So if I use 93, I would have been 31, right around 31 groups, which was awfully close, almost spot on at that point, okay? We use estimation to help determine if our solution is accurate or if we're close or if we're even going in the right direction, okay? What is the purpose of estimating the solution before we solve it? It's to figure out whether we're getting it right, okay? Whether we're close to the right answer or if we're doing the totally wrong thing. And then which of the numbers is the divisor? The divisor, that tells us the groups that we're making, which is the 3. Our dividend is what's being divided into groups, which is 94. And then our quotient is the answer of our division problem, which here is remainder 1. Now, I want you to look at the Brownie problem. Notice how this is set up almost exactly like the seeding problem. So now we kind of know what we need to do. I need to have a picture here with our base 10 blocks. I need to have the word or the math problem written in words, and then I need to see it worked out with numbers, okay? So I want you to go ahead and work through the Brownie problem and answer these questions over here, and then you'll press play on your video and we'll go over the answers again. So go ahead and pause your video now. Okay, we have the Brownie problem. There are 126 brownies to sell at a summer fair. If there are 9 brownies in each package, how many packages of brownies need to be sold? So we should have a model of this problem to show us done in an array. You should have done your words and you should have done the numbers. So let's kind of go through our answers over here on this side. What do you think the base 10 blocks represent in your problem? The 126 brownies. You could have pulled out 126 units, or you could have pulled out probably 100 flat, 2 10s, and the 6 units is what I would have done in order to represent this number with base 10 blocks and the fewest number of base 10 blocks, which is kind of what we did in multiplication. So I'm going to go that route at this point. How did you use base 10 blocks to represent solving the problem? I would have put those base 10 blocks into groups of 9 at a time, like I'm putting them into my bags to sell. So for me, I would have counted out 9 at a time. I probably would have had to trade in my 10 longs and my 100 slats for units so that I could make more groups and do that easier. And then I would have kept counting those groups until I couldn't make any more groups. Based on your model, how many packages will need to be sold? We're going to need to sell 14 packages. In this problem, which of the numbers is the divisor, the dividend, and the quotient? And here they are in order. The divisor tells us groups that we're making, which is 9. The dividend is what we're dividing into groups. And then the quotient is basically our answer, how many groups we could make. This should be 126 right here. How could you verify that your solution is reasonable? We can use our repeated addition. Multiply 10 times 9 and 4 times 9 and add the products together is one way to figure out if we're close. How could we create an array or area model to represent the solution to the problem? Well, we can arrange our units into rows and columns instead of into groups, and then we get our area model in a rectangle, right? Just like we did with multiplication. So can we use our base 10 blocks to check our multiplication answer? Well, yeah, we're going to have arranged 14 groups of 9 things into an area model, and that's going to give us our 126 brownies. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and complete the words and the numbers section here. And then I would also like for you to work through the balloon problem, giving me a picture model, words, and numbers. Oops. And then I'd like for you to look through these. You can practice again. You did this a lot in 4th grade, showing division with your base 10 blocks and showing the regrouping. So you can kind of work through these on your own and follow the instructions of what they're doing here with your base 10 blocks and kind of work through the problem with these notes. And then we get to what you guys are really used to doing, which is what we call scaffolding, or just doing your repeated subtraction, where we're taking out the groups and then we add up the groups that we take out. So like here we would take a group of 10, which would be 230 brownies, and then we're left with 193, where you could take out a group of 5. Well, 5 groups of 23 is 115, and so on. You guys are really good with this, so I think you'll do just fine. Then on the scaffolding with division notes, I want you to go through these and do these 2 practice problems on your own. And just before we go, I would like to show you what your picture model should look like of the brownie problem. So this is how you can show. We've divided the 126 brownies into their 9 groups, which gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 groups of brownies. Then you should be able to do this in words and in numbers, okay? Again, continue with the balloon problem and then kind of work through with your base 10 blocks to figure out division with that. It shows your regrouping really well. And then your 2 practice problems down here with your scaffolding with division notes. You've done this. It's just 2 problems. And then submit those online for me.